right. It's been happening all along, and now there's a show on it. But same with Hoarders. And I think...
I don't know if genius might be a little strong.
Well,
I think that was an excellent assessment of the situation.
But, again, my involvement with Hoarders is I want to go out and I want to help people. And I'm here because my whole goal is really to keep promoting awareness and to help people understand, because I get that, in your living room and you're watching the show, it does make people crazy.
Oh,
it's very, very maddening.
Ready
and you're
to pull
right.
an Elvis and shoot my television,
watch.
I swear.
That's why people watch.
Angry. Yeah.
Right. And the reality is if it wasn't so painful to watch, you wouldn't want to watch it.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's just it's very interesting. Very interesting show.
But you know Two and a Half Men.
Yes, exactly. You're watching a lunatic.
Charlie Sheen is hoarding great stories.
He's hoarding escorts in his hotel room.
Hotel bathrooms.
But you know what? We watched a rehab one time with a girl who was huffing the glue, and you wanted to smash her. She was doing the air. I'm walking on sunshine. And we wanted to strangle her, but they did an update on her.
Yes, I saw her.
She's normal.
Yep.
And you don't hate her anymore. It's like she was as hateable as you could be, and then a year later
she was
you're
embarrassed by who she was.
She's like, it was awful. She's like a regular girl now. You're like, oh, okay.
I think that goes back to the power of addiction. And a lot of people say, well, is hoarding a form of addiction? Well, I think it's similar in the sense that they can't see their way out. And here she is.
You're like the Dr. Drew of shitbag collectors.
You haven't even seen the show. You said you've seen parts of it.
No, just when you come in with all this sort of scientific stuff, you really feel like Dr. Drew, except of shitbag collectors.
She could change her name to Dr.
Shitbag Collector.
I stopped.
Well, I'm going to stick with my name because I think it works for me, But I think, actually...
But it's an odd thing to be an expert in, though. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, the reality is if you look at the show, there's pretty much a small group of us that are going out there. A lot of people will specialize in OCD and other anxiety disorders. They say, I'm not going in there. Because there are realities about health concerns and things like that. There's some pretty dangerous situations.
Wind up getting some mesothelioma.
Dude, there's nothing that's going to happen in this room that's going to freak her out, by the way.
Oh,
she deals with people who throw their own feces. There's nothing that we're going to say that's going to make her go, uh-oh. She doesn't.
I know, she's a pro.
For a living, she walks into houses and people have just rotted dead animals that they live with.
Well, I don't know about that. We could at least try.
It's probably the most sensible environment you've been in years.
Very nice lady.
Very lovely.
We do like you.
You're terrific.
Yeah,
we want to go to the house
like when
today.
you're on the show.
What if we went there and we kept our distance?
I think it would be impossible for you guys to do that. I'm just not saying
wanna
that
see
you guys
one
would
of
have
these.
that kind of impulse.
Have you ever have the neighbors ever come over and been like, oh my God, thank God you're here. This woman's crazy.
Oh, yeah. Well, they don't say the crazy part. I'm very sensitive to that whole
really?
thing.
They're crazy.
Do you ever get any weird airborne illnesses or rashes that you sort of find? Like, you ever get a weird sort of...
It's a great question.
You ever get sick?
Not rashes, but we've... there's actually a show that has not been aired that's
You've gotten
coming
sick.
up.
I can tell you've gotten sick.
No, I've never.
No, I can tell by the way you
really
reacted to the question.
No.
You just don't want to say because it's probably
people
really
get,
gnarly.
Spider bites and,
what was it?
Mosquitoes.
Was there something just really gross that you got? Like pus coming out of some
type of worm.
Some sort of worm. A worm.
Yeah,
worm.
You never want a worm.
Have you ever had a tapeworm?
Not that I'm aware of.
Tapeworm. Oh my God.
You've had a tapeworm, I can tell you have.
Yeah.
Can't you
Those things get to be like 20 feet long.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Is that a rumor? Or
Yeah,
is that
no,
true?
it's true.
No, that is true. Can you get some kind of disease from breathing in feces?
Yeah.
Or not a disease,
Tapeworm.
but some kind of illness or something?
Tapeworm.
I think you can definitely get,
I think you can too.
illnesses and things like that. I mean, there's no doubt that it affects your health. We just recently saw, it's really tragic, but the woman who was in stage 4 cancer.
Oh, yeah,
and that was the house that I told you that the air
hoarding
quality
cancer
was
cells.
so
Yeah.
bad.
She was going through garbage on the floor and a bunch of dust and
And,
was
and
a
that
health
was
hazard.
a really, really tragic
Shouldn't do that.
situation.
Tapeworm.
And, she
Yes.
was the one
Tapeworm.
that, bless her
Tapeworm
heart,
cancer.
sort of said, this is really hard for me, but I don't want to leave this to my family.
Mm.
And so she came in, and while it was hard for her, she got her environment in a place where the family could come in. And I think that for any one of us, when we're really struggling with something, that we have to dig deep inside and find a way to motivate ourselves and to push past, like what your brain is saying is right versus, what you need to do.
I love when they say they're a good cook, and you walk in and go, who the hell would eat in this crap hole? It's just there's rotted food laying
Chef
all over.
Bumardee.
So again, defending
Chef
my
Boy, what a
clients in
mess.
that sense, the reality is that you look at Hoarders and you want to say
She's warming up. She
they're
almost
crazy.
actually smiled there.
She'll smile, but
she's warming
we
up.
just
just
can't
a little
attack
bit.
the people that she's helping. She's not going to go with that. She's a doctor.
Our goal is to have her laugh one time. That's all.
She's been laughing.
I've been laughing.
Yeah, she's been very
You
good.
got a good sense of humor. You could tell.
Were they called Hoarders before the show? Or is that a name that the show
That's
came
what
up
we were
with?
getting at. We don't know when it started.
Like, I never heard of that until the
Trademark
show.
of A&E.
Well,
But they
Okay.
just called people that just didn't throw shit out? Or
Look, the reality is who's
we
going
need
to
a
get
name
on
for
the
this. We
phone
can't call
and
it that.
call somebody and say, look, my house is hoarded to the ceiling and I've got 3 children. Can you come over and help me? That is not going to happen. And
Yeah,
so, with
But who
the,
came up with the name Hoarders? Is that something the network came up with? Or?
Oh, no. Hoarding, compulsive hoarding has been there for years and years and years. And there are lots of researchers and doctors who have come up with this term. And over time, we're just understanding it better.
Wait, the people calling for help though, like I got it. Like I'm in recovery from drinking and
Hoard,
stuff,
you say.
but I had to make a decision to go get help. So how come they don't have to make that decision until it's almost like I understand interventions work and. How come they don't call and go like, look, I need a hand here, like where I had to do it, and so do other people who stopped doing that.
But you were in the trenches too. I don't know what your disease looked like at the time, but at one point I'm sure you denied, you defended, you rationalized why you were doing what you were doing, and something changed where you said, I can't live like this anymore. And that's the place that anybody in their illness, in their sickness, have to get to before they're going to get help. And, part of my reputation is known for having that gas pedal to say, you know what, this is insanity. You can't keep living like this. And to what you guys are talking about is this is affecting the people that you love. And at the same time, knowing when to back off and to say, okay, I get this is tough for you, and to keep that balance going.
Like, I have a lot of clothes that don't fit me anymore that I'm afraid to throw out.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, just because I don't know. I just feel like, I spent money on that shirt. It shrunk, but I have a closet full of this crap.
See, that's
Yeah.
exactly
That
what
is
the Hoarders
exactly
do.
what we're
Yes.
talking
That's
about.
an early stage of hoarding.
You are
Not so funny anymore, is it, Tom?
No, I kind of feel like I have a small hoarding problem.
Before you know it, Tom Green's going to have shit bags of shit in his house.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we all save
I didn't want
on
to bring
a
it up, but-
continuum. That's why he's here, right?
Yeah.
We all save on a continuum,
So I keep them in the garage, actually. But,
At least it's not in the
I've
house.
seen that too, but they were in buckets. Did you see that one? The person who had the shit in the buckets.
Oh, yeah.
But it was in a shed. I was like, that's the worst thing I've ever seen until they showed the people who
The
were just
one with
tossing
the
the
bags
bags
up the stairs.
Yeah, I didn't know whether to love or hate them. I kind of love their complete like devil may care attitude about it.
Well, and one thing that we do have to keep in mind too is that, there's again a lot of information that doesn't come out, and I call the person, I interview them, the network's interviewing them, on and on and on, and then we get there and we find out, oh my gosh, we've got other things psychologically going on.
Some other issues.
You guys saw the Dennis and Nadine one, can you get my pickle? Remember that one?
Oh,
In the
yeah.
motorhome? There was clearly some other things going
my
on
pickle.
there that, that we couldn't discuss because, again, there's so much that's done that only gets on air that, it's not up to us what gets on there.
Yeah.
You're
just there to do your job.
I'm just there to do my job and do whatever I can with the time that I have to help them, because again, on the back end, hopefully they will follow through with treatment. And it's very frustrating. I definitely have to admit that, we see the ones that go out and then, you see the person's really angry. They're yelling at the doctor. They're yelling at the organizer. They don't want anything to go. And they've got this amazing opportunity, all these amazing resources coming out. And there's not much change when they leave, and they don't take the aftercare services that they're providing too.
Yeah, and they're
you
just
think,
shopping
Oh,
again,
and it's
and-
so frustrating because in my mind, I think there's one more hoarder out there that could have really benefited from this help that now is probably because it's an insane amount of money to pay a doctor to drive to somebody's house to spend the time for an
All
organizer.
those trucks and everything. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Why did you do this? It's interesting to me. Anyone who gets involved in why, as a person, you become are you a psychologist, psychiatrist? I don't know.
Psychologist, yeah.
What would motivate you to do that? Because you have to.
money.
Nah.
Right?
There's got to be something that makes you want to help people. I don't get it.
Yeah, why would you want to help people?
Nah, but I mean, on that level, though.
No, I know.
My therapist sometimes, how do you listen to this shit?
That's what I mean. I'm not talking about generally helping people, but on that level, I don't get why you would put yourself through that day after day.
Was there something, not to be too psychoanalytical, but was there some person that you couldn't get to that motivates you to, like, I don't understand it.
You know, that's the irony is I was the black sheep in my class. I basically told everybody I had no interest in sitting around hearing people's problems. I'm going to do forensic psychology. I'm going in the courthouses. I'm going to get the information.
Quincy, you were, psychology, not
yes. Not
What's
Quincy.
that?
I thought it was like Quincy, like forensics. I got very excited.
Well, forensic psychology, basically people that have committed crimes, that are mentally ill, that kind of thing. So I was going to go into the court system, get the facts, write the report, sit in my happy little home office, send it off, and make my money.
More dough on TV, though.
And well, actually, I mean that's this is 12 years later that this Hoarders has come up. But then what happened was I did an internship and I started to work with people that had OCD. And OCD is not about talking it out and going into your childhood. It doesn't mean that those things aren't important. But the bottom line is not all. The majority of it is behavioral. It's getting them to start doing things differently. So when we talk about a hand washer, they have to do what we call the exposure therapy and test out their fear that if they touch something, do something, that they're not going to die or get sick. And compulsive hoarding is very much the same. The idea is if I throw this out, I'm going to regret it. I'm going to have intense anxiety. What if I want it back? That kind of thing. And most of them find that when they actually do it, it wasn't what they expected.
Wasn't as bad.
It's so behavioral. It's so active.
It's just amazing that there's this much to say about it, actually. It's just starting to realize you just go on and on about it. Huh?
They're having me back tomorrow.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I've got 3 shows booked.
It's like it's people that can't throw out their socks.
I noticed that she hoards the word irony.
I like.
They should have a celebrity hoarder spin-off,
Celebrity
Queen Latifah
hoarder.
has too many bags of shit lying around the house.
Well, there's been a few candidates.
Really?
Oh, really?
I've got a bunch of old
You know
shirts.
who's a big fan of her show? Ozzy and his wife. That pleases me. Do you know that? Ozzy's a big
Really?
loves. Sharon said he can't stop watching Hoarders.
Really?
Makes me very happy.
That's interesting.
Well,
I'm sure.
Ozzy,
Curious what it's like to sit in his living room.
I'm telling English money. Sharon, I'm sure they have. We've seen enough footage. Just money. They're rich people. Yeah, they don't hoard. They hoard cash. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's kind of the difference between someone who's got a lot of money and has the space for everything. So, like, I don't know. I had heard that Mariah Carey has like 10,000 pairs of shoes or some insane amount, and she's got a closet for them. When she walks in, she probably has some kind of system where she knows where to access those shoes.
So that's not really hoarding.
But that's not hoarding because
rich.
it's you got the money, you got the space for it, and there's a system and that kind of thing. Versus the hoarder house where you walk in, there's 10,000 pairs of shoes and you can't find any matches.
Yeah, but the difference is those shoes are among shit.
Yes, they're
that's
covered in
the
bags
point I
of
made
shit.
earlier. Like Mariah Carey has a shitload of shoes, but it's all organized nicely in these big, huge closets, and then in a hoarder's
than a
house,
load of shit shoes.
Right, and then there's a pile of shoes with like cat carcasses.
Well, and it's rare that you're going to walk into a house and just find one category. All there are just shoes. You're going to find so many.
No, it's everything.
Things.
It seems to be laying all over clothes.
Exactly.
How many did Imelda Marcos have? 10,000? That was the obsession with her for a year.
Sure.
People remember that 20 years later that this woman had 10,000 pairs of shoes. That's it, yeah.
Well, and I don't know. I remember something about, maybe I'm wrong, like financial problems with that. And that's, I think, one of the things that really maddens people, too, when they watch the show and they hear that people, they're in foreclosure or they don't have any money and they're thinking, how can they buy all this stuff, but they don't have money to pay their bills. And again, that's part of the illness is the difficulty that they have resisting a good deal versus... at the end of the day, paying bills.
I got a good question. I'm a big fan of Twitter. I actually hoard tweets, but there's a guy, Conway Tweety.
Conway Tweety.
No, but he's got something.
Of course he's on Twitter.
But he's got something. He really does. I got a friend who stabbed himself in the arm with a pencil because he couldn't find a photo. What do you think his illness is?
I have no idea.
It's irrational,
you got me on that one. I typically have an answer for everything. But,
this is really something that actually I was setting Jimmy up. Jimmy talked about just that yesterday on the show.
Jimmy was going a little nuts.
He likes getting